Chinese internet users are cheering on Russia for invading Ukraine. But one guy is taking on these nationalist trolls despite the death threats. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Shelley Zhang, filling in for Chris today. Ever since Russia invaded Ukraine more than 3 weeks ago now, the Chinese Communist Party has claimed to be neutral, while actually being not neutral. Take this statement that China is going to maintain normal trade with Russia and Ukraine. Seems pretty neutral, right? It's not changing trade with Russia or Ukraine. Of course, only Russia is facing crippling sanctions from the West and needs economic relations with China more than ever. So this is China supporting Russia while making it look like they're being neutral. Kind of like when your mom claimed to not have a favorite child when she obviously did, and it was clearly your younger sister. The Chinese Communist Party has also been supporting Russia by voting with Russia in the UN. And embracing Russian propaganda and its version of the war. The Chinese regime's pro-Russia propaganda has produced some interesting reactions on the Chinese internet, like when people start calling Russian leader Vladimir Putin things like Putin the Great, and their faith and their light. If you thought Twitter thirsting over Ukraine's President Zelensky was cringy, Putin thirst is not better.
2022年最振奋的日子就在今天，因为今天俄罗斯攻打了乌克兰。哎呀，我今儿特别高兴，就好像看到了中国收复台湾的那个场景，感觉太棒了。普京真是霸气、硬气、帅气，不愧是国民的男神，也是我心中的男神呀。
Oh, I take that back. Putin thirst is so much worse. So if you want to see people cheering on Russia's invasion of Ukraine, just go to the Chinese internet. But as the woman in that video showed, it's not really about Russia and Ukraine, it's about China and Taiwan. Chinese nationalists are looking at Russia invading Ukraine and dreaming about China invading Taiwan. I'm pretty sure their dream invasion of Taiwan goes a lot better than Russia's actual invasion of Ukraine, because let's face it, China is so much better than Russia. But it's not just about China and Taiwan. It's also about China and America. Chinese internet users see Putin as someone who's standing up to America's bullying. And they see America as the country that's ultimately responsible for the war in Ukraine. I talked about how they're brainwashing kids to believe that in this episode. As one Weibo user joked, if he only used Chinese social media, he would think that America had invaded Ukraine. Of course, we are talking about the highly monitored and controlled Chinese internet, so it's hard to tell how many people don't support the war. You only see people who do, because the Chinese regime will censor any opposing viewpoints, including people just calling for peace. But one guy is defying both Chinese internet censorship and Chinese nationalist trolls. I'll tell you more after the break. Welcome back. The vast majority of the censored Chinese internet is pro-Putin and pro-Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But one Chinese guy has made a big splash by being neither. This is Wang Jixian. He's a Chinese citizen from Beijing, and he works as a computer programmer in Ukraine, specifically in Odessa. Unlike other parts of Ukraine, Odessa hasn't seen the worst of the fighting, but it's definitely a target. Since the war began, Wang has been posting videos on YouTube and on the Chinese social media service WeChat, documenting his life during the war. Some of the videos show him waking up in the middle of the night to air raid sirens.
3月16号凌晨3点，来吧，等着你丫的舰队，反正你他妈夜里不睡觉，天天得来。
Others show him walking around Odessa and showing what daily life looks like, even during a war.
人来人往的车辆，这行人，我有时候有一种莫名的幻觉，我觉得战争好像已经快胜利了，你知道吗？
In more emotional videos, he talks about leaving these records of his life so his parents know what happened to him if he's killed. Why does Wang stay instead of evacuating back to China? Here's what he said in one of his videos.
为什么我们不跑？我不能暴露我朋友的名字，他不能说话，我替他说。他妈孩子在这儿，他老婆在这儿，他老婆是乌克兰人。对，他可以回国，把家扔了，把老婆孩子扔这儿。这他妈是人干的事儿吗？我跑，为什么不回国？他问，行，能回国，我是中国人，就一个名额，我把我名额给我老婆，让她带着孩子走，行吗？抱歉，我们撤的是侨民。理解，没问题，这个是人家国家的事儿，所以我们他妈的拿起 AK 守卫自己的家。
So he's talking about a Chinese friend who couldn't get the Chinese consulate to evacuate his non-Chinese wife and half-Chinese child. This directly contradicts the Chinese Communist Party's propaganda about their awesome evacuation of Chinese in Ukraine. Wang also goes on to talk about his own reasons for not leaving Ukraine.
我的公司在这儿，我可以走。我走哪儿去？大家可能没理解我说我想活着，是他妈有尊严的，像个人一样的活着，不是在喘气。我们不怕死，我们也不想死，谁好战呀？
And he asked people in China to confront the reality of the war that they're supporting.
我昨天给你看我邻居家小姑娘，我请你告诉我，她他妈是她不是纳粹，她是 NATO。告诉我她该死，告诉我我们都该死，被炸弹炸死。
Wang Jixian's videos might not look too controversial at first, but he's attracted a lot of hate from Chinese nationalists for pushing back on the official narrative about the Russian invasion. Some accused him of being a paid actor. Others even sent him death threats. But Wang is not backing down.
有时候想想乌克兰人，好歹他们只有一个敌人，我都数不清我们现在有几个战场了。我回去，我是谁？我是中国人吗？我还是敌人？
These are heartfelt, intimate videos where Wang directly addresses the people who hate him. He's straightforward. He's blunt. He's honest. He's having conversations about what it means to love your country, what it means to love your home, the difference between a person's values and a country's values. He's talking about what it means to be a Chinese person, but also what it means to be a human being. His videos have gotten millions of views on WeChat. If you're thinking, wait, how has this guy not been censored? Well, he has. He posted this video on YouTube showing his WeChat being disabled, and then spent the rest of the video with an X taped over his mouth. The guy's got a sense of humor. Frankly, I'm surprised his WeChat account hasn't been completely deleted yet, but Wang Jixian is also posting his videos to YouTube. So if you can understand Chinese, you can check out his channel there. Wang addressed this censorship in another one of his videos.
我是吉贤，我住在乌克兰。你是谁？你在怕什么？你为什么害怕我说话？我的语言中没有恐吓，没有杀戮，我只是在呼吁人们尊重生命，停止战争。为什么你害怕人们知道真相？我们手里没有核武器，我们手里也没有枪。为什么只有为杀戮叫好的声音才能够被发出去？为什么我只能够在这儿说我害怕了，请救救我？为什么只有散布恐慌的声音才能够发出去？我们这儿有坚定，有热爱和平，有正义。
For the most part, Wang treads a pretty fine line in his videos. He makes it clear that everything he says is just his personal opinion, and that he's just an average guy, representing himself and not representing China. He also doesn't badmouth the Chinese regime, but he does express his dislike for the Chinese Communist Party in a roundabout way.
我无党派，那个党，我不爱他，有错吗？你爱他如命，你视他为媳妇儿，我不喜欢你媳妇儿，有错吗？因为我不喜欢你的媳妇儿，你的妈，你就要杀了我，你正义吗？颠倒黑白的事儿做不出来，我不会因为你手里有把破枪，我就屈服于你。您那把破枪算个屁！
You know, he's got a real way with words. Wang is the kind of Chinese voice we don't hear a lot from in the West, including on this show. Here on China Uncensored, we've said many times that we're not anti-China, that we are not against Chinese people. We're here to expose the Chinese Communist Party and what they're doing in China and around the world, which means it can be easy to forget that not all Chinese people are like this. And there are a lot of Chinese people like this. Wang Jixian reminds me a lot of the Chinese citizen journalists who went to report on what was really happening in Wuhan during the initial COVID outbreak in 2020. Many of them risked their lives to get that information out. Several of them were disappeared, and some of them are still in prison right now. So, in a way, Wang is kind of lucky. Sure, he's in the middle of a literal war zone, but at least it's harder for the Chinese police to kidnap him off the street and take him to a black jail. Sometimes in life, you have to look at the bright side. It's part of being human. And now it's time for me to answer a question from a fan of the show on the crowdfunding website Patreon or the exclusive social media platform Locals. On Locals, Connor Bell asks, "Thank you for your support through posting these videos every week. It means a lot that with your multiple channels, a lot of people are waking up to know the real world. My question is, why do you and the rest of your news team like to use dry humor?" Well, Connor, that's easy. We use dry humor because wet humor is just way too messy. Thanks for your question, and thanks for supporting China Uncensored on Locals. And if you haven't joined us on Locals, come check it out. It's free to join. And we do special content you can watch, like our exclusive Locals live streams. You can also support the show with a monthly or a one-time contribution, which will get you even more perks. Come join us on chinauncensored.locals.com. Once again, I'm Shelley Zhang, filling in for Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching China Uncensored.